today's video, I'm going to show you how I made these adorable realistic pets. Starting off with this little guy. Now I got these at Dollar Tree and we're going to do a bunch of different ones in this video today. Now this one was originally white. You can get these at Dollar Tree for only $1 for a pack of 4. There's dogs and there's cats. So really cheap and affordable, and they look like that. So now I'm going to talk about the paints. Today we're going to be using only apple barrel paints and a few other sealers. So if you want, you can use the same sealers and same paints, but it's not necessary. For this little guy, I did a mixture of chestnut and white. I like to build up my layers, so I started with the chestnut and then added in the white and chestnut mixture. So I'll show you that on the next pet, but here I'm just going to go ahead and add the nose and give him some realistic looking eyes. I think he's going to be so cute. So here I am adding the eyes. I'm using a toothpick and apple barrel black, which I use for most of the pets in the video. So here I am just putting on some final details and we're almost done. This little puppy came out so cute. Now from here you do want to go ahead and seal your pet. I'm going to be using Mr. Super Clear, but you can use multiple different kinds like acrylic sealers or even matte Mod Podge. Now let's start on a little kitten. For the kitten, I want it to be a deep, deep gray. So I'm going to be using the color Pavement, and I'm going to dab on all of the paints with a makeup sponge. This method would ensure that the paint does stick to the little figure, and you can use this on many different projects. Makeup sponges are really fun to use when you're giving texture. Now I'm just going in with a brush. I'm going to add in some of that pavement color in the creases and go ahead and do one even coat all over the pet just to make sure it looks cute. And here he is all dry. Now we're going to add on some detail work. So for the details, I'm going to go in with white and pavement mixed, and I'm using my makeup sponge to add highlights. Now what these highlights are going to do is highlight those like carved out hairs that are on the cat and really make them pop. As you can see, the cat, when it was solid gray, it just didn't have any texture, and I love to put texture to a realistic animal or pet. I just think it gives it a little more pop. So now I'm taking a toothpick and I'm going in those little cracks and crevices, just getting some of that paint and making sure that I blend it out with the paintbrush. I'm also going to dab some of this on in some spots that I want to be more gray and have more texture. I recommend starting with a light layer and building up. Now that our cat is dry, we are seeing so much more texture and just looking more realistic than that simple white cat that we had before. So now we're going to work on some of the features. So we're going to work on the eyes, the nose, and the tongue. Starting with the eyes, I am going to be using the black apple barrel paint again. And since the cat's eyes are in a closed position, we're just going to draw a little thin line on its eyes just to give the illusion of an eyelid. And then we're going to paint on a little black nose. It is looking so adorable. I think this one's my favorite so far, but I'll have to see at the end. Now I'm going to go in for the tongue. Now the tongue, I'm using red and sun-kissed peach mixed together to get a peachy reddish color. And this is what it came out to look like. I think it looks so cute and so realistic. I love this little kitty. Now let's move on to this little kitten. So this little kitten doesn't have any carved out fur, so we're going to give it some texture. Starting with sun-kissed peach, I'm going to use my makeup sponge and I'm going to dab on that paint and make sure that it stays wet in between coats. We really want it to stay wet so we can blend the colors evenly. So now that I have that base layer and it's still kind of tacky, I'm going to go ahead and start with chestnut. Now chestnut I'm going to lay down very lightly. I'm also sponging that on, but I will build it up as I go with different tools. I really like the color that these cats were, but they really needed more texture and the colors were just too solid. To ensure that we have a lot of texture and some depth and shadows, we definitely want to build up our layers. So use a light layer here and don't be scared to be messy. Using that same chestnut color, we're going to use a dry brush with a little bit of paint on it, and we're going to start building up some of that brown to give some depths and shadows. So just be sure that your paint is still a little tacky at this point, and go ahead and dab that all over your kitten. Now I'm going to add that brown in the ears as well, which is the chestnut color. And I just want to make sure that I get the ears really good. And so I'm using that toothpick to get in there. And then I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to go ahead and blend it out. My colors are still wet, so it should blend nicely. Try not to go too heavy-handed while blending and try to just work on the corners. Now for another layer. We're just going in with a little bit of Sunkissed Peach. We want to blend out those colors nicely. Like I said, I don't want it to be too far from the original color, so I'm making sure I get it blended out very well, and I'm seeing a lot of texture on this kitten. Now on to the facial features. We're going to use black apple barrel paint to paint the eyes and the little nose. As you can see, my hands got pretty dirty messing with the eyes, but here he is, and he is so cute. He does look a lot like the original, but way more texture. And I kind of think this one looks a little like a fox, so I might do that to the other one, because it would be so cute to have a baby fox in the Dolly world. So here's a little comparison, and as you can see before, it was that color, similar. And now you can see all of that texture. Just look at that. Very, very cool. Once you've added all the little features to your cats and dogs, make sure they're completely dry and sealed. Once they are, you can start with adding a glossy varnish. You can use things such as Mr. Super Clear, Matte Mod Podge, and things like that to seal your project, and then use a glossy varnish like Liquitex glossy varnish, or even some glossy Mod Podge to give that glossy look in the eyes, the nose, and even on the little tongue. I really think adding that gloss varnish really brings their little facial features to life. Just look at those glisten. So, so cute. I absolutely love this little kitten. She's adorable. Also, if you want, you can also touch up any paint that you need to at this point. I had to go back in and fix up some spots on the tongue, but that's okay. You can do that towards the end like I did, and you'll be just fine. So I went ahead and finished all the animals. I put gloss varnish on their eyes, nose, and on that one, of course, I put it on its tongue, but they came out really good. I am so proud of how cute these are, and just look at this. This is the difference that a little bit of paint and time will make. And it doesn't even look like it came from the Dollar Tree. It looks more realistic and very cool. So these are awesome. So this little doggy in particular, he was white. I don't have another copy of him for some reason, but he was a solid white color beforehand. He looked a little like this, and now look at him. Just look at all of those like shadows and highlights, and you can really see the texture on the pet now, which I absolutely love. And this was super simple and fun and very relaxing. I love painting. So if you guys want to see more of these little pets being painted, let me know. I know I'm going to be painting a bunch more. This one in particular, I was like, wow, he looks so much better, especially because it was so slick and there was no texture to him. So he just looked solid, and I love that he has those different colors in him. I had a cat like this, so I kind of did it from memory, and it looks a lot like him. I also want to mention, for a limited time, I will be creating some of these custom for my shop. So if you guys have a picture of your cat or dog and you may want me to customize one, just let me know through email or on Instagram, and I'd love to try to create one for you, or just create a random one for you. So let me know down below which one is your favorite, and I'll see you guys really, really soon with another video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys!